Now, boy, he hit that 12 minutes, bam, right. That was good, man. I appreciated that. Boy, these lights, I feel like I'm going to be intimidated by the Gestapo in a minute. It's so warm up here. Pardon us if we all sweat during this. With his 12-minute opening, would you please welcome Dsouza?
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here. I see we have a little bit of an unusual podium. I'm relieved I remembered to wear pants. Our time is so limited that in my opening remarks I'm forced to adopt the motto that King Henry VIII used with one of his wives. He said, "I won't keep you very long." Now, I'm going to focus in my remarks a little bit on science, because as we saw with Michael Shermer, the argument for atheism today marches behind the banner of science. It proclaims the scientific way of knowing is the best, if not the only way of knowing. It posits a certain kind of conflict between science on the one hand and religion on the other. Science is based on evidence. Religion is based on faith. And it gives you a story, which Michael Shermer told pretty well, about science advancing and religion retreating. Science explaining stuff that was previously attributed to God, but now we know the scientific reason, so the God people have got to figure out something else for God to do. My job is going to be to sort of deconstruct this narrative. First of all, I want to point out that if you were to make a list of the greatest scientists of all time, let's say the 50 greatest scientists of the past 300 years, a list that would surely include Copernicus, Kepler, Boyle, Galileo, Rutherford, Pascal, Maxwell, Lavoisier, Newton, the list goes on. Look at that list. About 90% of people on that list, if not more, are theists, and the vast majority are specifically Christian. So none of them, scientists who have done far more important work than Michael Shermer or biology major Sam Harris, they didn't see any conflict between science and religion. In fact, some of them, notably Newton, notably Copernicus, saw their scientific work as revealing, if you will, the signature or the handiwork of God in the universe. Second, the story that you often hear about science advancing and religion retreating really comes down to a handful of specific cases. Remove those cases and the whole narrative falls. The basic idea here is something like this. The Christians used to believe that the earth was flat. Then the brilliant scientists showed up hundreds of years later with their marvelous instruments and revealed that no, the earth was round, embarrassing 1,000 years of medieval theorizing. And then later along came Galileo, and along came Newton, revealing the clockwork universe. Darwin showed you can have design without a designer. Now, once you begin to look at these cases a little more closely, they begin to crumble. First of all, a little bit of history will show that the medieval Christians knew full well that the earth is round. Educated people from the time of Christ, in fact, before that, 500 years before Christ, the ancient Greeks knew that the earth is round. Why? Because you really don't need Galileo's telescopes to figure it out. All you have to do is watch an eclipse. Here's the sun, here's the earth, here's the moon. You can see the shadow of the earth on the moon. Hey guys, it's round. Aristotle knew that the earth is round. I want to argue further that if you look at modern science, and this is in some senses something that even scientists seem unaware of, while science is supposedly about evidence and is supposedly about data, underneath science and supporting it are three faith-based propositions that can in no way be demonstrated by evidence, and in fact are a direct legacy of Christian theology. I'm not talking about science in its origin. I'm talking about science now. Number one, modern science is based on the assumption that the universe is rational. Now, if you think about this, this is a little strange. You and I can be rational, but that's because we possess brains. The universe, as far as we know, does not, in fact, have a brain. And yet, the universe is rational. Modern science presumes it to be so. The universe is lawful. The universe, in a sense, can be described not only in laws, but in the language of mathematical laws. Now, this is even more odd. You and I can follow a law. We're driving on a street, we see a stop sign, we stop. But that's because we are intentional, purposeful agents. The universe is inanimate. How does the electron know what to do? We are talking about some fairly complex laws. Kepler's laws of planetary rotation, Newton's inverse square law, Einstein's E equals mc squared. It is only in Western civilization, by the way, that we have this embedded idea of a lawful and a law-abiding universe. Third, not only is the universe rational and lawful, but the rationality of the universe out there is mirrored in the rationality of our own minds. This is in some ways the strangest fact of all. Why? My brain is made up of molecules and atoms and neurons and circuits. So why should all the whirring that's going on in here match the rationality of the world out there? What is the reason? There is no reason. Evolution can't explain it, because after all, evolution may have prepared me to kill the woolly mammoth, but it would not have prepared me to understand, for example, about other galaxies 5 million light years away. So, if you're a Christian, by the way, these propositions make a kind of sense. You would say, I believe God is omniscient. He created a rational universe. God is a lawgiver. He gave us the 10 Commandments, the moral law. It's not too surprising. He gave us the laws of nature, the physical laws. We are created, we believe, in the image of God, so we have in us a hint of that divine rationality. No surprise, we can apprehend the rationality of the world out there. But if you are an atheist, you can't make any of these assumptions. You have to take them 100% on faith.